Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. We have an old cracked up patio as you can see here. We're anticipating a lot of roots underneath this patio when we get it out. There were some pine trees that have been removed in the last year. And this is a HOA, which is a homeowners association. So the good news is, since it's an HOA and it was a pine tree in the HOA community area that may have damaged this patio, they're going to be paying a portion of it to replace it. So we just have to find some roots under here basically and save a few, take some photographs. It's coming out really easy. There's no steel reinforcement in it. It's hollow underneath because the roots, as you can see right there, we just found one that pushed it up. So it's hollow and no reinforcement. What we're gonna do, we're gonna put a new concrete design here. It's gonna be a Belgium slate seamless texture stamp, and it's gonna be a terracotta color, and we're gonna mix it into the concrete load, so it's gonna be an integral color mix in. We're using the Davis brand. The Davis brand liquid color added at the plant. Now there's no drainage in this area because it's completely enclosed. The only opening is in that gate, which is not an ideal location to get all this water to drain out of since it's along the side of the house. There's some weep holes that are left open on the bottom course of the block wall here on the right. So what we're going to do is utilize those to drain the water through those weep holes. It's not an ideal scenario. I mean, they can clog up pretty quickly, but I came up with a pretty good system here. It seemed to work great. What I'm going to do along that block wall, I'm going to lay a double half-inch foam, two pieces of half-inch foam back to back, and I'm going to glue them to the wall and to each other. So we're going to have a good inch of foam on that back property line wall there, and all of the weep holes are open below that foam, 4 inches deep. And we're going to go ahead and open up those weep holes about another half-inch on each one. And I'll use a 3/4 inch drill roto hammer to open those up, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to open those up all the way down to the dirt. I'm going to use top of concrete. It's going to be about the same location it was before. There's not going to be any planter beds. We're going to go solid concrete now. So all the water has to go out. Now the only reason this can work is if the dirt on the outside of the wall is lower than the top of concrete on the inside. If the dirt's higher on the outside, the water's not going to drain out. So we had to verify that to begin with, and that seemed to work out. Here's all the roots that caused a lot of the damage to this patio. There's the 3M liquid glue that I'm going to spray on the wall and the foam. I'm not going to use any nails to nail it in. I'm just going to glue it on. And you know, they have about a half-inch, 3/4 inch tearaway at the top of those foam strips, expansion strips, that I'm going to tape against the wall. So we'll rip off both of those. So we'll end up with about an inch by inch keyway along that wall for the water to drop in, and it'll follow and go out the weep holes of the block wall. That's the concept anyway, and that's the idea what we're going to think is going to work. And we're going to test that theory with a lot of water when we clean this up, when we pressure wash at the final. We'll see how it drains. The cable lines were screwed into the side of the house there. I just ripped them off of the wall there, and then I'm going to put them below concrete so it looks a little cleaner. Here's the foam going on. Just some 3M liquid adhesive. I'm going to lay rebar as well at 18-inch centers, 3/8 inch diameter, which is also known as number 3 rebar. Use the quick tie system, the zip ties. I am considering getting a rebar tire. That might be nice to have because I do a lot of rebar. Auto tire. So we have about 2 inches of slope from the furthest point to the property line wall. And that's about 1%, 1.5% right in there. That means 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. On these corners that pop out in the house are prime candidates for crack points, so I'm going to lay double bars at a 45-degree angle perpendicular to those 90s. That way it's kind of like stops it from cracking off of those corners. Seems to help a lot by doing that. Now the concrete's out there on the street. We got a pumper pulled up into this parkway. Now we blew the prime water into the wheelbarrow. And here's the terracotta color going down. It's a lot darker than what it will be when it cures out. I actually did the house right next door to this one. Another patio, another condo. And that's why I'm here today. Because the referral, you know. And there's my Milwaukee red stick. Still using that quite often. This is running about 4.5 inches thick. I'd rather just pour them thick than bring in some base or sand or rock. I think thick concrete's better than thin concrete with base. Now a lot of the adobes here that I used were actually chunks of the broken concrete that we removed, and the rest of them are just 2-inch adobes. See, so we're staying about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch below the weep screed of the house. That way you don't get water trapped into that stucco, and then that could cause water damage. Notice how I worked myself into that corner there. That always makes it fun to have to jump out. Luckily it's only a 3-foot wall. It's a little difficult when you back yourself into a 6-footer. So I got the 4-foot bowl float magnesium, and it has a little rocker arm. The nice thing about the rocker arm is you can get over these obstacles like this by changing the angle of your poles. Now if that was a fixed position, I'd have a lot of problems trying to actually bowl float this. We're not going to be doing a secondary color on this. I mean, charcoal or gray looks nice as a secondary color on a stamp for something like this, but we're just going to do clear liquid release, so it's just terracotta with some texture. Now as it ages, it will kind of model somewhat in the depressed areas where it retains water, dirt, things of that nature. It'll kind of stain, so you will get that modeling over time naturally, even without the secondary color. We're gonna wet cut all these joints in same day because it's a relatively small job and it's easy to get to the joints. And these particular joiners, the first one I used was my cutter, and that goes about 2 inches deep, and that kind of breaks your aggregate all the way down to your bars. Then we come over the top with just a 3/4 deep 1/2 inch radius joiner. We've hit this with the magnesium, or actually, yeah, it's a fiberglass funny float. We hit it with the fiberglass funny float. Then we hit it with the funny trowel. Now we're going out here on the sliders. That's Carlos there, working that 4-foot red stick. I'm at the other end on knee boards with the 6-foot red stick. We're using that for two purposes: to check for slope and to use it as a guide for our joiners. Because these actual ristics are they're actually the same size as a 2x4 in every direction. So that's why it works. So now we're at the other end. We're coming through that gate. We're putting down the liquid release, spraying that out of a 1-gallon garden sprayer, and we just carry that along with us and spray it just before we drop the mats. That way we don't get evaporation of the product and have to double spray. So spray them as we go. Mineral spirits works as well. We just can't get it here in Cali anymore. And then we have the small mats, the 2x2s, just to catch little areas where the big ones aren't getting into. So we got some 4x4s and then a couple 2x2 hand mats. Now that foam will be all getting torn out for a 1/2 inch deep, and then we'll have basically an 1-by-1 keyway. That foam goes all the way to the dirt also, so you'll get some some water absorbing there. Most of it will just go out those open block joints there. Yeah, I've already torn out the actual foam, the top 1/2 inch of it. This is the 3rd day, as we poured it on a Friday. We come back on a Monday, and we're gonna saw cut a little 1-foot band all the way around, just a little decorative. Now that little band really has no value for crack purposes. It's just a decorative band around the outside perimeter. So we don't have to go very deep with that. We're just gonna go probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep just to make a mark. Now in a minute here we're gonna pressure wash it, and it'll be the first time that water's actually hit this. And that'll be the test of whether it drains through those block holes. Now in those corners, all the intersections where they come together and make a turn on those cuts, I'm just going to use my little 4-inch grinder with another diamond blade on it. I don't have a guard on that because I have to be able to see where the blade's cutting. So in that case, you definitely want to wear goggles. And now we have the 2800 psi pressure washer in here. Clean up any concrete that may have splattered on the house or on the wall, and it comes right off. 2800 psi is pretty good because you really don't hurt the paint of the house or damage the stucco. Anything more than that, you could cause some damage here and there. So there's your finished product. Now basically that's a wet look. So if you were to put a wet look sealer on it, that's kind of how it would look all the time, although it will get a lot lighter as it cures out. The water does drain really good. It was draining as fast as I could put it down. It never really had a chance to puddle, so the system works. If you ever get in these tight fits, that works real nicely, creating a keyway out of foam. You can also buy a channel drain, but you know, it's expensive, and they're about 2 inches thick, and they can break. So foam is ideal for this. Anyway, thanks for watching my videos. If you like these, subscribe and press the like button. Have a good day.